Good evening and welcome to the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners December meeting. We're coming out of executive session and we're about to open the meeting. Can I get a motion to come out of executive session? Motion. Mr. Rabin, and a second?
Second.
Mr. Laurie, all in favor? Aye. Then it's 9 o'clock, I believe.
Yep.
Okay, so welcome all here and thank you for coming. We'll go right into tonight's activity report. I'll hold my comments for later. Chief Grogan, would you like to give your activity report first?
Chief who?
Chief Grogan, good idea. Chief Tween, I'm so used to saying Chief Grogan.
Good evening, everybody. Alarm activity, 322 alarms for November, 13 fire-related, 152 EMS. We gave out mutual aid 5 times. We received mutual aid 1 time in November. On Saturday, November 25th, Mr. John Antol of FM Global Foundation presented the fire district with a plaque recognizing the district receiving a $2,500 fire prevention grant to purchase 3 iPad Pro tablets to be used for fire prevention inspections and activity. They presented us with a plaque acknowledging receiving of the grant, and they also provided us with a check, which we purchased 3 iPad Pro tablets that we're going to use for fire prevention reports. They're going to be able to make reports in the field as they go, and they'll have a mobile printer in their vehicle where they will be able to print out the reports for the people that they're doing the inspections for. So we want to thank FM Global for their generous grant to help our fire prevention department. Also on the same day, Group 2 and Captain Dempsey had a second alarm house fire on Hathaway Road. Their quick response and actions contained the fire to a second-floor bedroom. The fire was very close to extending into the attic area, which would have caused significantly more damage to the home and greater risk to the firefighters. Thank you to New Rochelle Fire Department, who responded to the scene with 7 members on Engine 22 and Ladder 12. Thank you also to Mount Vernon firefighters who covered the district by standing by at headquarters. Thank you also to Westchester County Department of Emergency Services, Battalion 14, who helped coordinate the mutual aid companies, and the County Cause and Origin team that responded to investigate the scene. The fire scene was complicated by numerous pets that were in the house at the time of the fire, and unfortunately several of the pets did not make it. But all the family members did make it out. A husband and wife were able to get out safely. The vehicle and firehouse maintenance continues through the use of outside vendors.
Chief, if I can interrupt
Sure.
you there. At that fire scene, EVAC also responded with
Yes.
standby in front of the,
Yep.
and they had, a fly car and ambulance and a full staff there.
Yes, we
on
want to thank
standby there.
EVAC as well. I'm
Yeah.
sorry for leaving them out. They respond to all our structure fires, and we want to thank them for their assistance. Tower Ladder 17 is currently out for aerial certification and scheduled servicing and should be back by the end of this week. Fire prevention and code enforcement activities continue with numerous plan reviews. I was not at last month's meeting, but they, as you know from their reports, they had a very busy October with Fire Prevention Week and Fire Safety Month. So I want to thank Captain Pinaval and all the members of the department that raised awareness with the children of the community at all the schools and organizations. Now here's something I've been working on for several months, and I'm a little disappointed at the last minute that we're having problems. Captain Stupple and I have spent many hours preparing specifications for new apparatus to purchase and was hoping to be able to present something to you this evening. There's been an issue raised with the specific apparatus dealer we've been working with, and they have chosen to represent an additional apparatus manufacturer. Similar to if a Chevy dealer decided to also sell Ford vehicles, Chevy might not be happy with that. So I'm concerned this could potentially impact the delivery of the apparatus should we sign a contract, as the build time is 12 to 13 months. We have met with the president of the dealership, and he feels that he will still be able to deliver any contracted apparatus. We followed up with calls to the manufacturer directly, and we spoke to the vice president of sales for the manufacturer. And we expressed our concerns and left him with several questions, and he's going to try to get us some answers. So hopefully he'll get back to us tomorrow. He said he would get back to us as soon as he could. The Station 4 roofing project appears to be completed. The new rear windows have been installed. I believe they have some groundskeeping work to do, as the front lawn was destroyed by most of their equipment staging. So I believe they'll be coming back to seed the lawn, I would assume in the spring, as this weather is probably not conducive to planting grass seed. I was there today. All the equipment and supplies have been removed from the property. I spoke to the members numerous times as I went to check on the work, and they had very few issues with the contractors during the project. And any problems we did have, they responded and dealt with within a few hours of our complaint. And I thought the project went quite well. The roof looks beautiful, came out very nice. Captain Calby attended the Westchester REMSCO, which is the next step in us getting approved to do the EpiPen and Narcan protocols that Dr. Flores signed off on. The next step will be doing the training. Westchester County Department of Health will come in for the Narcan training, and our current EMT providers, training providers, will do the training for the EpiPens. The career departments also, the career departments involved in the hazmat squad have also begun training opportunities for technical rescue, as we have to deal with trench rescues occasionally, confined space, and also high-angle rescues. People doing brickwork on apartment buildings. We do have potentials for high-angle rescues. We've been providing some training opportunities. What we did was we polled all the records and see what training each group had, and we picked 4 people from each group so that we would have a diverse. We really couldn't give the training to every single person, so we picked 4 people from each group that we feel would be appropriate. And they've been going to training. Some of it has been in-house, some of it has been at other departments up in Scarsdale or at the Fire Training Center. Captain Dempsey is running that. He's our technical rescue team leader. And we've also had some other members take some hazmat training that now they can do hazmat training in-house. They got instructor authorization from New York State to do our hazmat refresher classes in-house. So Captain Pinto is in charge in charge of the hazmat. He's the hazmat team leader. So that's it. We've been doing a lot of training. I've been busy trying to get the apparatus done. I apologize. It was out of my control. We may have to delay it a little bit to see how this plays out, but hopefully we'll be able to move forward if we get some answers from the manufacturer directly.
It's almost very similar, time-wise and time committed, and what happened with the KME, when the KME, as we were just about to buy the apparatus last December, decided to change their distribution arrangement with the distributor, and the distributor came back to me and said, well, I don't know if I can really fulfill your bid because my relationship with KME just changed and not in a good way. Mm-hmm. So he was nervous about having us execute a deal with them. So it's almost identical a year later, where we got a similar thing. I think we may almost want to retain somebody like Mr. McGuffey from KME, who was a very senior spec writer, and just say he knows the specs, write a spec and just go out for RFP at this point, because we seem to get caught in these. If we go out for RFP, we'll end up with whatever apparatus we end up with, but it'll meet our spec and we go on with life. But this is the second time now that these fire companies have done this, 2 different manufacturers. That's a very good report, Chief, and very well said, and all good work.
Chief,
So,
just one
Yes.
question, on Station 4. Did they remove everything? Because on the back windows where they had put them up, there was all kind of insulations outside on the roof, and...
Because of the snow? I
No,
went in the back.
this was even before the snow, but I'm saying they had left all their...
I haven't seen it, but I was told that it was
Yeah.
removed.
Oh, it was
It's all
removed?
gone.
Okay.
Yeah, it looked
good.
like everything was gone. They had like a half a pallet of equipment there, maybe, 3 weeks, a month ago,
Okay.
and that's all gone now. I couldn't see any equipment left behind.
I walked in somebody's somebody's snow steps today, or footsteps
That was
today.
probably mine.
I
did
followed
go
somebody's
in the back,
footsteps
yeah.
to the back of the building, and it's all been removed. Everything looked good. So, all righty, very good. Any more questions for the chief, gentlemen? Okay, Jamie. Jamie Henstern, our treasurer.
Okay. Great. Nothing too much to report this month. I provided a treasurer's report and all of the additional reports that we started providing as of last month as it relates to absences, overtime, training, night shift members. But as far as the budget, as far as through November 30th, we're looking at approximately $1 million surplus this year. I think we're going to come in at the end of this year pretty much similar to where we were last year. You know, some of the expenses just came in a little bit lower than budgeted this year. Again, we, you know, stayed at 0% for next year, so I think, you know, we'll see that start to even out. And we did make the $1.5 million transfer that we talked about at the last meeting into our reserve for apparatus. So that will, you know, be available to us next year or in the, you know, coming years as we start to, you know, be able to buy these trucks and engines and do additional repairs. I will have, we did budget transfers at last month's meeting. I will have transfer recommendations again, either in January or February, depending on our meeting dates, just to close out our 2017 year, so that any accounts where we're over budget on a specific line item, we fix that, you know, so the records are clean for the year, and so that when our auditors come in, you know, we have that to present to them. As of right now, they are scheduled to come the week of February 19th. They'll be down. They're usually here for about 2.5 days, so that's when our audit is scheduled. It probably would start the Tuesday. I think the Monday is a holiday. And other than that, not too much else unless there's any questions.
Okay, and the reports you provided, I'm just going to read them just so we know. We now get reports for the days absence by member, by month-to-date and year-to-date, overtime by member, month-to-date, year-to-date, training report monthly, and the monthly fire prevention report, and the monthly report from night shift enrollees independence, all dropped into that one folder in our monthly folder report.
Yep. And the bank reconciliations are there as well.
Yeah, and so I think everything looks perfectly good, and thank you. Any questions for Jamie? Nope.
Anything else?
Tonight, we have Lisa here. Lisa, do you want to present the election? We had a fire district election. We have them thank you, Jamie. And we have a fire district election the second Tuesday of every December. This year, we had an election, which Lisa was, and I can never pronounce Lisa's last name, so that's my problem.
Gutierrez.
Gutierrez. Sorry, but it's just me. And so Lisa did the election this year by herself with the help of Tom Andres assisting in the background, because Tom had done it for us multiple years. So Tom lent a guiding hand, but basically it was all fell on Lisa's shoulders, and from all accounts, it was a well, smooth-run election from a mechanical point of view. Everything from Lisa's side got done and executed and it's a fairly complicated event, because you have about 40-odd people, 50 people you have to hire.
40.
So you have to coordinate these 40 people. You have 5 polling places. You have multiple polling machines, and there's roughly 20-odd thousand registered voters in town that you have to have books and stuff ready for. So even though the turnout numbers are very low, Lisa has to prepare for like thousands of people coming, even though thousands of people don't come, but we have to be prepared for it. So, and Lisa got it all done beautifully. So why don't you give us the results for the certification?
I have the certificate of results cast at the annual election of the Town Fire District of the Town of Eastchester, held on the 13th day of December 2017. I'm sorry, the 12th day of December 2017. I'm going to read exactly what's
Sure.
here. You could. I, the undersigned, being chairman of election, do hereby certify that at the annual election of the Town Fire District of the Town of Eastchester, held therein on December 12, 2017, the following facts are true and correct with respect to the Eastchester, New York Fire District. With respect to the election of one Fire District Commissioner for a full term of 5 years, commencing on January 1st, 2018, and terminating on December 31st, 2022. Total number of votes cast, 980. 2 affidavits. Total number of write-ins, 6. Votes were cast for the following candidates for the office of Fire District Commissioner for a full term of 5 years. For Mr. Stephen J. Baker, 361 votes. For Mr. Thomas Roche, 619. Total, 982, and that's including the 2 affidavits.
Okay. And so you certified that and supplied it to the town clerk?
Yes, I did.
And so the election is a wrap. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Mr. Roche, for you'll be a member of the board come January 1st. And so if you want to come up and say a few words, we'll do that. That's fair?
I want to thank the board and the citizens here and all the citizens of Eastchester for allowing me to address. But really, thank you for your vote of confidence. I want to thank the citizens of Eastchester for their vote of confidence by electing me the next fire commissioner. And I promise to serve diligently and faithfully and do the very best I can to provide the very best fire protection for the citizens of the United States. I also want to thank Stephen Baker for all of his work. He worked commendably for 10 years, first in the zoning board and then for the fire district, and I'm sure that he'll serve the town of Eastchester in the future, but I want to thank him for his past service, and also I look forward to working for each and every one of you to make the fire department of Eastchester the very, very, very best. Thank you again. Have a nice day.
Thank you for putting, regardless of who you supported in the race and all that stuff, people who put their name forward to run for public office deserve a lot of credit because it's a volunteer position, it's a commitment of time and energy, and thank you for putting your name in the hat and going for it, and good luck.
Thank you, and it's my pleasure.
Okay, so now we have some.
I'd like to say something. We recognize the Journal News as our newspaper of the year, right?
Newspaper of record.
Newspaper of record. How come nothing was placed in the newspaper about the results? We don't even have a reporter here once in a while. I'm not saying he has to be here every night, every meeting rather, but there was nothing in the paper. I had many phone calls come to my house and even my cell phone. What were the results? If this is our newspaper and they're not working with us, why do we have them?
Well, the problem there is, we posted the results that night, because I did it, on the website around 11 o'clock or something. So it was posted up on the website. But the problem is, there is no media, local media anymore, really, to speak of. In Bronxville, you have my hometown, Bronxville, which is a very good local media source that gets out to people. But in the town of Eastchester proper, there's very little media these days because the digital media has taken over. My hometown, Bronxville, is a digital media. The Journal News simply doesn't have the reporters to send to all these local board
So
meetings.
then why can't we send it to them?
Well, they're not going to publish it anywhere.
Why not? We have them for our newspaper, don't we?
We only have them, we have legal requirements to publish legal notice. So the election,
So in other words, nothing else could go in there but legal notices?
well, we cost
Unless
us
they want
about,
to report on it.
it cost us about, I don't know, $1,000 probably to put our election notice. How much did it cost to put the election notice in? $330 would cost us to publish the election notice.
So if we could publish the election notice, we could notify the election results. I'm sure a lot of people would want to know. I mean,
Well,
if
we
you
can
go
have-
vote, I go vote, aren't you concerned about who wins, who loses?
Well, you
Or
could-
what's the results of anything?
We could have the town and the villages publish it on their internal websites. We did an email blast to approximately 350 people what the results were.
But I
And
still-
the fact of the matter
I
is,
still think the paper would still help also.
You
I don't care.
only had
I
1,000
don't care how many emails you put, how many, whatever you put on the newspaper, on the website and all that, I still think the newspaper would help. Everybody looks forward. I enjoy reading the paper, whether it be the News, Post, Journal News, the Our Town in Bronxville I read, the Our Town in Eastchester, those papers, you get them in the library. You could get them in Seatown.
There's two forms, though, for those newspapers.
Yeah.
There's classified ads that you pay for and they place, which appear on certain days in the back of
Right.
the paper. And certainly, we could do that, but I don't think that's what you're looking to have done.
No.
The other is that the newspaper of its own volition goes out and reports the story. And quite frankly, they just didn't think it was important enough, given the size of the turnout, to put it in the Journal News. Now, I will say that historically, we have gotten some good coverage in the local papers, the Eastchester Review.
Right.
My hometown, Bronxville, would write a story.
Right.
And I was kind of surprised there was nothing in those papers this year, and maybe we should try to do some outreach in the next election.
They sure-
Not on a partisan basis, but just make them aware that an election's coming up and kind of suggest that they run a story on
They
it.
sure put it in the paper and told the public that I wasn't qualified to come up here. They put that in the paper. So that's why I'm saying, I don't understand why they can't put anything else in the paper, results of any elections.
Yeah, but
Dennis, let's not
we
get
put
started,
in the
Dennis,
paper,
please.
we put in the paper that there will be an election.
I
We sent
understand
out
that, but I'm
word-
just saying, when I was running for fire commissioner, they put in the newspaper that I wasn't qualified to be up here. So now, I'm just saying, if they could put that in the newspaper, they could put the results of any election, win or lose, to any candidate in the paper.
Bronxville did call a reporter from Bronxville.
Right.
But only Bronxville.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Bronxville, my hometown Bronxville has been very good about covering fire district elections. And the truth be told, you used to have the Eastchester, what do they call it, Eastchester Review? Record? Eastchester Record? Or the town report.
There was the
The town
Eastchester record
report.
also.
The town report used to have a much larger circulation, in my view, than it does now. And it used to cover the fire district almost every one of our meetings. They stopped doing that a few years ago. And so basically, we get zero coverage from the print media in town. Zero. We just do. And it's just not this election, we just don't get any print coverage.
I would say that I did also receive some comments about it was a quiet December, that's for sure, for the election. And I think that next year, based upon what we've seen for this year, and that there has been an outpouring that our little town and villages here do take fire elections, maybe somewhat serious. I know we always talk about trying to get more people out there and having more of a spotlight on it, that it wouldn't hurt if we're able to use some efforts that maybe are not very costly, but just, some on volunteer time, like myself or any other board member, any other employee who wants to give a call to a newspaper and say, there's information, there's an election, we'd like you to just at least put down the facts about it and get some interest out there. I think that's fine. I think this could be a little bit of a learning situation for us to look into something for next year, but I do understand it was a little quiet, but yeah.
I agree with you, but like I said, it was awful strange when I ran.
Okay, do you, Peter, do you want to talk about FSI and doing the firehouse in Chester Heights?
Sure. We've already heard from the chief. Project's completed. We think it went extremely well. I'm talking about the roof phase of the project. We are now focused on the next steps, which is going to be the exterior facade restoration, replacing the windows, the facade, the timbers, a lot of the masonry work, and repairing and restoring the masonry work around the building. We've received a proposal from FSI at a cost of $76,500 to handle various phases of that work, from construction documents, expediting permitting, the bidder phase, construction phase, evaluations of the quality of work, contractor payment certifications, submittals, and there's more in the scope of services. But we, unfortunately, we received an initial draft of the contract. We had a number of comments and issues, which I believe have all been addressed, but we didn't get it back to our attorney in time to be able to vote to move forward with it tonight. What we would like to do, though, is potentially vote on a motion to hire FSI to perform those services, subject to a approval in form by Coughlin and Gerhardt, who's the district's attorneys, and myself. So,
Yeah, I think that's well said. Basically, we have a document, we've edited the document, we haven't got the final edit back, but there's no sense waiting a month. We're not going to execute a document unless Coughlin and Gerhardt signs off on the edits that they recommended. So, we want to authorize that motion.
yeah, I make a motion to hire FSI Architecture to perform exterior facade and window restoration services as outlined in their scope of services, subject to the approval in form by Coughlin and Gerhardt and Commissioner Inkledon for a sum of $76,500.
Second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Mr. Laurie?
Aye.
Mr. Rubin, aye. Mr.
Aye.
Inkledon? And I'll say aye, motion carries. Okay. And as mentioned earlier by the chief, the roof project down there came out particularly well. We put a artificial slate roof up that looks like a slate roof. It has a long life to it. They insulated the roof with like 4 inches worth of insulation. They did all the beams around the edges. Commissioner Ingledon supervised that project pretty much from a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis, and it came out quite well. It was well-engineered, well-designed, and well done. So I thought it was all good. So what else do we have? Payment of bills. We have two sets of warrants tonight. We have the warrants of December 12th, 2017 for $3,752.63. We also have a set of warrants from December 14th, 2017 for $365,314.96. We have one credit card that had a credit card bill of $569.22. Those are mostly online services and things that we need like that. And so for a total warrants of so I'll say that again, $369,636 spot 81. All the board members have already reviewed the bills and looked through them, so I'll have a motion to pay the bills. Any questions about the bills?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, who said so moved?
I did.
Mr. Laurie, Mr. Rabin, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So Jamie is okay to pay the bills. Any other board business we have tonight?
I can't think, is there anything else on the agenda that we didn't do already?
No, I don't think so. So I would like to make a comment about Mr. Baker's service to the board, which I thought was outstanding. Mr. Baker's leaving the Eastchester Fire District and in a financially sound position, much more financially sound than he joined. His service to the Bronxville, Eastchester, and Tuckahoe residents was exceptional, and he sought nothing in return for his efforts. Commissioner Baker supported the membership by providing a stable board and judgment that has been forward-thinking and legally sound. Baker, as an attorney, would approach matters in a calculated view of risks that others did not see. Baker is a very high-ranking officer in the United States Armed Forces and a decorated soldier. I think this training provided him with the respect for chain of command, and he never interfered with fire operations and had a very level head of dealing with everyone with respect. He was extraordinarily good that way. During his 5 years, Stephen has protected the taxpayers by pursuing the abuses that we found, and we found many, many abuses when he joined the board, because at that time the board had just changed over. We had Jerry Napolitano was on the board, I was on the board, and Stephen became the swing vote. And from that point on, we were able to upgrade the accounting system, upgrade our packages we use for our board reports. If you notice tonight's meeting is a classic example of how well we run now versus how we ran 5 years ago before Stephen joined. Our packages from the treasurer now are complete. They're thorough. The checks and balances that we have are extreme. So I think from that point of view, from a financial control point of view, from a budgeting point of view, I think we did an extremely good job. Steve was proactive in looking into the volunteer companies and uncovering much abuse. The firehouse renovations in the north end was stalled when Stephen joined the board, and that project was he moved it along, and that stalemate was busted when he came on board with the work of Jerry Napolitano. They fixed that north end firehouse. Our house and apparatus reserve fund sat just under $600,000 when Stephen joined the board. It had a 600% increase. Our house and apparatus fund sits at $3.3 million now, and we have no debt. And we also, besides the $3.3 million, we still have cash to run our general operation fund without having to do short-term borrowings. Stephen helped update, and not just Stephen and Peter, myself, and Jerry. We updated numerous internal policies, which were documents of how you operate the department, from FOIL policies to purchasing policies to credit card policies. I could name a bunch of policies that Steve helped update. We improved all our record keeping and management, our reporting. We restructured the officers' ranks. We promoted the chief. We promoted several captains. We promoted lieutenants. And I think all our all the promotions done while Steve was on the board were free of political influence, and they were done on a merit basis, and I think the membership understands all our promotions were driven by merit, and there wasn't any handshakes or any of that type of thing. I think we ran a very professional board, and that's just not Stephen, that's Commissioner Ingledon, myself, and all the members of the board who made those promotions. But it was very well done. I think the morale of the overall department improved under Stevens, while Stephen was on the board. While he was here, we negotiated 2 5-year contracts for 10 years, which gave the firemen an average increase of about 2% a year for 10 years, which was both fair to the taxpayers and fair to the employees. So I think we weren't heavy-handed to the membership, and we weren't heavy-handed on the taxpayers. We conducted business fairly. We settled numerous labor matters in favor of the department, these were mostly legacy labor matters that were existing. So I think we changed the fire district's orders, we changed our legal firm, we corrected oversight of one fireman that was placed in the wrong pension system, which was, it wasn't something that got done cheaply, but the board did it, and Stephen was an active part of that. So I think the achievements made by Commissioner Baker while he was on the board are numerous. And since 2013, Stephen was the swing vote that brought a bright light, brought a new bright light of hope for the Eastchester Fire District, and his success, and he succeeded in his mission of being a commissioner with utmost integrity, and that's 100% correct. So I'm sad that Stephen lost the election. I thought he was a great guy, and I think Mr. Roche will do a good job. But I think, Steve deserves a lot of credit for his time on the board, and I don't think there's anybody in the department that views Steve as being other than an ultimate professional in his time on the board. So I thank him for his time on the board. So, and we'll look for, next year we'll start a new year and do this all over again. We use this room in Bronxville thanks to Mary Marvin and the Mary Marvin and the Village Board of Trustees in Bronxville, and we thank them for letting us use the room. Peter North this year covered all our meetings, and we thank Peter for being here to cover all our meetings. He's our video person who edits the meetings and then we put them up on YouTube after we receive them. So, all in all, I think we're about the end of this meeting. Anybody else have any comments?
I'd like to welcome Tom Roche. I would say that one thing that I've thought about the board, while we've had a lot of strong members, we really haven't had someone with deep operational experience. So I'm actually looking forward to someone on the board who could, certainly we get a ton of information from the chief and from the members, but I do think that that's a perspective that will be new to this board since I've been on here, and I'm looking forward to that. So congratulations, Tom, and looking forward to you joining.
And if I've left out one comment, I've been chairman of the board for the last 5 years since Steve Baker joined the board, and I've enjoyed doing it. It's a serious time commitment to be chairman of the board. It just does. You have to prepare a lot before these meetings. And I think my 5 years of doing that has probably reached the end of the road. So, and I enjoy doing it. I thank the board for their support over those 5 years. But I think come January 1, we'll pick a new chairman. It won't be me because I've done enough service as chairman, and I think there's other people who can fulfill this position other than me, and it's just good to move on the baton to somebody else. So thank you for your support, and we'll take up in January how we reshuffle this deck.
Yeah, I just have a couple of comments. One is thank you to Stephen, obviously, for his 5 years of service here in the fire district, that's for sure. I've followed the fire district for as long as I have, and I do respect the time that he was able to give to the district. Congratulations to Tom for winning the election. I'm sure we'll be working together well come January. Dennis, thank you, obviously, for your time as chairman, that is for sure. I just wanted to say happy holidays, everybody. Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. I hope you do it well. I hope you're happy and safe. A reminder that the local 916 is still accepting Toys for Tots at the firehouses. And if for any reason you feel like it, you are able to drop off toys at Eastchester Town Hall's community room. We did do a small drive on behalf of local 916 at one of our programs at Handle Field a week ago. Mr. Nanarello is going to come and pick it up eventually. He's just going to let me know what day he has his time to do so, but we do have some toys there. So if anybody in the villages are not able to pass by a firehouse for any reason, or they happen to be coming to the town hall in Eastchester for either a recreational building, legal, or a court proceeding, and you want to bring a toy, you can certainly bring it to town hall as well. Again, happy holidays, everybody up here as well, the chief, our office workers, Mr. North. I mean, it's a lot of people who put these meetings together. So thank you, and see you in January.
Well said.
You gonna open up to the public? Anybody want to
Oh, I
speak?
forgot to do that. Would anybody from the public like to address the board? See, I don't have an agenda with me tonight.
Couple items. I know, Chief, if you're checking the, there was a 4-foot by 4-foot piece of insulation on the ledge on the second floor by the single window,
Okay,
and a piece of 2x4 about 2.5 feet.
take a look for it.
The windows are outstanding. I got a question. I investigated how to open it and stuff like that. With the old casement windows on the rest of the firehouse, there was an arm on it that you could lock the window once it's open. These don't appear to have a lock on them. Is
Like
it,
there's enough tension on them that they probably shouldn't move in the wind, because it does have an arm that holds it, so it's, you know, it's not one that you can lock down, but it's, like, I operated them today.
and it'll stay open, you know,
It
with the
seems
window?
like, yeah, because I was wondering about that, and it's,
Yeah, that's what just drew my attention to
there
the
was
window.
enough
The other
tension on it that it'll
windows-
hold it in
Cool.
place.
The back room was left a little mess. We're in the process of cleaning it up. The cable wire for the TV was cut. It's not hooked up. So I don't know where the wire is from the back of the building, but the front of the building is on the house phone on the inside, so that needs to be reconnected. I don't know if it was the window people or the roofing people that cut the wire, but we have no TV on the second floor. So that needs to be
I'll look into it.
redone.
We'll look into it.
Other than that, I wish everybody a happy and healthy holiday, and
Thank you.
good luck. Just, you might want to throw out a few fire safety things. We've already had our second snowfall, not to block fire hydrants with the snow if you're doing it.
Yep.
This is a big time for candles. Watch where you place them. Make sure if you have a real tree, make sure it's watered daily, things like that. Don't overload outlets and all that, and have a very fire safe year.
Okay.
I myself want to wish the public
You have any comments?
and the audience here Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all that. Safe Christmas. I hope to all see you next year.
Okay, on that, do I have a motion to close the meeting?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a good night.